following is a presentation of MRE UNO, Division 1.
Round 1 of Jackpot June continues here for the 2025 MRE UNO Tournament T4 as we now enter into the Hearts region. We've had some classic 8v9 seed matchups for you already here in the round of 64. Another one on tap here today as Background takes on Christian Tagoe. Now when you're in the gambling world at a casino, it doesn't matter whether it's poker, it doesn't matter whether it's blackjack, the roulette table, the slot machines. You always seem to be able to sometimes find that lucky streak, but how do you get to lucky streak? You've got to establish a foothold. You've got to establish a starting point. And I think the foothold theme is going to be what both of these individuals here today are looking for. As so far here, from T1 to T3 during the course of 2025, neither of these individuals have been able to break out of the round of 32. Now, both of these individuals had a great run back in T4 in 2024, though from different sides of the spectrum, if you will. A former tournament winner in Christian Tagoe did very well in D1. It was back during D2 before his promotion up to D1 that Background had the great run here in T4. Can they tap back in to that T4 success here 1 year later? We're going to have to wait and find out. You take a look at these two coming into this. I mentioned about, you see there, the 2024 T4 finishes 6th in Division 1 for Christian Tagoe. Runner-up in Division 2 just before his promotion there for Background. A legend versus a rookie, but it's an 8-9 seeded status. And as I said, we've seen some really, really good matchups here with 8-9 seeds so far in the round of 64. Pretty similar looking there as far as the 2025 record. The numbers a little bit different, but the momentum kind of similar in terms, as I said, neither one able to get out of that round of 32 so far in these first 3 tournaments. And, of course, you see as well a former tournament winner there with Christian Tagoe trying to get back to those winning ways. Let's look first at the profile for Background coming into this one. 3-3, and even 500. Has advanced into the round of 32 in all 3 of the tournaments so far before getting eliminated by Logan, Caesar, and Mack, respectively. On the other side, for Christian Tagoe, 2 things that stand out there in T1, T2. Swept in the round of 32 by Carson, swept in the round of 32 by Vapor. Looking to eliminate the sweep scenario here as he tries to advance his way into the round of 32 once again, and then didn't advance into the round of 32 back in Movie May, after getting eliminated by Bad Brad. So for both of these two, they are definitely looking for a starting point here as we're in the home stretch. We've talked about this here. We're in T4. There's only one tournament coming up here before a Super League conversation comes into play. These are playoff type games, and they're going to have to tap into that mentality in this one, especially in the fact because the winner of this matchup, they're moving on to face the number 1 seed. Nick currently on a bye, awaiting the winner of this one. And over on the other side, we'll be determining who's going to be facing DJ Curtis next Tuesday at 7 p.m. as Tapir takes on Jesse Turner. This is a trifecta of streams here this afternoon, as we'll be in the Hearts region later on here today, bookending the Clubs region at 6 p.m. That's Ghost versus Aria Carmona. And then we come back to the Hearts region with a 7-10 matchup, Chomic versus Lara, prime time 8 p.m. Eastern. Well, let's go down to the table. We've got Bad Brad. He's going to be our referee. KT joining me on the commentary here for this one once again. And KT, I mean, as I mentioned, it just kind of seems like we're looking for a launch point here when you're Tagoe in background. Something to springboard off of, maybe try and make a deep run here in T4 as well as the upcoming T5.
Yeah, he's been really good so far in round ones this year, 3-0. The problem has been round two, which is not always guaranteed. That's the thing. And then for Tagoe, it's been weird because he's been masters of sweeps and getting dished out, but then he finally had a good game against Brad, which was the last time we saw him on this 8-9 line, which ironically puts him in this 8-9 line because he was the 8, now he's a 9. And then Brad's reffing, so it all comes full circle today. But yeah, the last time he played on a Saturday at 1 o'clock, he gave us a heart attack. So let's see what he tries to do this time to put us in the stretchers at the casino. But regardless, I think for this, I look at two things. One, Tagoe's light switching is going to be off the charts. And then two, for background, I don't remember the last game he played. At least I saw. I want to think the last time I saw him was, I don't even know. Because I remember he played Radden and Mack, so it's been a minute since I've seen background. But the one thing I do remember in his game is he loves draws and he loves to build runs. And if you can build a run today, you might be able to get an edge on Tagoe because the light switching is going to be all over the board. However, at the same time for Tagoe, if you can light switch enough, then you can stop and prevent a run. It's going to be the ultimate chess match, the ultimate who's going to hit on whatever number. Well, this might be more of a blackjack style game. If you're at 13, do you hit or stand? I have a feeling with this. These guys are going to be a little bit more aggressive. It's playoff season. We've seen so many times it's been 2-3 wins. So you look at yesterday, we had you in hockey was 2-2. I think the best one was Leah. I think Leah was a good one. Leah was great. Leah Goldie 2-3. Leah had 3 wins. Goldie had 2. Tagoe had 2. Background 3. It's definitely a playoff game. However, this is probably the one guy set. If somehow Tagoe were to lose today, not the worst thing in the world because we know what he can do in T5. He won that tournament last year. He's probably the one guy that you would trust and bet your money on T5 run. However, if you're background, you probably got to get the job done here. He has playoff experience. Both these guys do. Tagoe, obviously, Super League last year was short, but there's still some experience. And background made it all the way to the D2 championship finale. Unfortunately, lost in the resetter to Steven, who ironically hasn't been doing much this season. So I'm not sure where to think of this game. It's not a ranked game. Sanford talked about this too. We have 0 matches right now currently that stands top 25. And next round, if we don't get the right results, we may also have 1 or 2, which is crazy. And we might have 0 again. So it's been a very weird year of parity, a weird year of playoff games, and a weird year of expect the unexpected. Who knows who will face Nick? But no matter what happens here, it won't be a playoff ranked game next match because Nick's ranked and neither of these players are ranked. So this is a meaningless game if you look for a ranked match. But for everything on the line, it's going to be turned up. I think I'll take Tagoe's side. Say you got background with the questions. Go ahead, Seth.
Okay, sounds good. So background, I love how KT really just encapsulated here the fact that, you know, the, no pun intended, the background that you guys have in terms of the playoff games. You obviously were in the finals in D2 back 1 year ago here in T4. What are you able to tap into from previous experience there? Is there anything in terms of the numbering of these tournaments that you're able to kind of go back to, or has there been an evolution since then in terms of the play style that you're going to bring into this here this afternoon?
It's pretty simple for you, Tagoe. My question for you is simply this. You've been in these Barnstormer games now with Brad. Sure, you've had the Sweep Cities, Carson. Of course, you had the, what was it, the Gentleman's Sweep with Gold. You've been in the Ringer. H, I think you swept. It's been a weird year. Obviously, forget resume aside. I still believe you're the one guy to look after. I think you and Allen and Brock are still the 3 people. I think they made I think you and Allen specifically. T5 is probably going to be your real big homes, but you don't want to leave the T5 this year. So my question is, how do you bring that pressure mentality from what you did last year in T5 to chase those 13 wins you said? As you look for a potentially, remember, if you win this game, this whole series, you'll get 100 career wins. So that's one thing to keep in mind. There's also that on the line today, which makes it a little bit more of a pressure. And Seth, we don't really see that a lot anymore. We see 100 starts, which is a ridiculous club, but the 100 win club is very small. It's myself, obviously Ashley G, and just Sanford and Yapez. It's a small club, so Tagoe would be the 6th member of that, which would include some exclusivity, but he's got to win here today. And We'll see what Tagoe thinks. I want to hear what he says about the pressure. You can feel free to type it out or speak it, buddy. Let me know. I think he's going to type it, so you can read
Nope,
that,
he looks
Seth.
like
Go
he's
ahead.
going to talk. He's unmuted.
Okay, go. All right, Ty, here we go, buddy.
I mean, looking at it, I have this tournament. I have T5. I'm obviously not in the greatest of positions to want to leave T4 early, especially just being at 2 wins. The pressure's on. I just gotta lock in, do what I do best. Hopefully win.
All right. Thank you, buddy. We'll go to background with Seth.
Yeah, when I asked him about tapping into last year's success in T4, he says, no, not really going to be tapping into that. Each game is different, have to play with the cards I get. Kind of consistency is the scariest because around one loss, and all the consistency is ruined. And that's kind of an interesting thing too here, KT, because I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've kind of noticed that a lot of players, what they've been known for, they've kind of had to adjust on it. They kind of still stick with that core background and everything, but they have to adapt a slight bit of strategy. And I can speak from personal experience as well. In my matchup with Monkey yesterday, I've done a lot more adaptation to my style of play, just I think based off of this bot meta. You're not going to, as background said, you're not necessarily going to get the same type of game 2 games in a row. It's going to be continually changing, and you have to adapt to that. And sometimes it fits into your wheelhouse, sometimes it does not. KT's got a phone call right now, so while he's taking care of that, as mentioned, we've got Brad as the referee. Highest seeding with background is going to get the first 2 home games here. So, background, completely open table. Okay, good to hear.
What was the question, man? What was the question before we start? What did you say?
I was just gonna ask. It kind of seems like we talk about individuals and what they're known for, their style of play,
Right.
but there always seems to be maybe that sidecar on the motorcycle, whereas that little period of adaptation, adding just a little something extra in, just based on having to adapt to this bot meta.
Well, and that's the thing. I look at Christian Tagoe with the light switching. What really benefited him last year on that, really most when he got his wins, was that old bot. Think about it. Even last year, T5 was on that old bot in the sense that we could only do 2 command chains, card history was off. It was still the old bot principles. You can light switch on the old bot a lot and get away with it because, let's face it, all you needed was 2+4s, and the other opponent was just getting numbers. This bot, we saw it with Cody Lamas and Clay yesterday. That game where Clay had a 9-bag run that he didn't use, I still can't believe that. But the +4s were distributed evenly. I look at Christian Tagoe. I've known this guy for 3 years now. He's been at the bottom of the barrel. He knows that area. Let's not forget, this was the exact tournament T4 2 years ago where he played, ironically, Lamas, down 3-1, found a way back. He got his 3rd win on the season, but that's as far as he would go, right? And he knows that he doesn't want to be in that spot. I've seen backgrounds games before in D2. I always pay attention sometimes when we get the championship season. And for him, it's going to be, can he get the draw out style? I do remember that one time I was reading one of the posts that Cody Smart did, and I think it was against Pack. He tried that game 1 gamble. And I asked Cody Smart, what was that about? You got to ask background. I never asked him, but I think I know where he was going with that. It's a popular move. You try to a snake bit something. Let's say you're at 1 card and you know it's going to be a fake color, and the other player's at 20 or something, or 10 plus. You might as well try a fake wow, see if it pays off. It's a good move, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do that with Christian Tagoe because every single color could be his last card. This isn't a one-track minded player. Tagoe is going to light the board up and probably run the electricity bill up to $400. It's the summer, so the air conditioning will be absolutely booming, and so will the light switches. So this should be a good one. I expect this to be a classic 8-9 game where it comes down to maybe just small intangibles, not making a mistake. And power play is always an option when we get to games 4 or 5, especially with these two. You want to establish control to a 3-1 or 3-2.
Absolutely. Well, we will see how this one's going to play out. As I said, the 8-9 matchup so far here in round 1 have been absolutely crazy. Expecting another one here. As mentioned, background gets the first 2 home stands. He'll, of course, have the home stand on that crucial game 7 if we get to that point as well. So Background, initial call here. What are we kicking game 1 off with?
A little 7 action. Okay, so a little 7 action. This is
Classic
an OG
7.
start. We saw this with you, Seth. It was all we saw yesterday, 5 through 9. Let's see if this is an ode to it.
Oh yeah, we
Blue
stayed
plus 2.
very low tier in that one. Made things interesting, a little nerve-wracking, frustrating at times.
Well, Tagoe's a guy that prefers upper tier, so maybe background's thinking, let's go 7 right here. Let's do a little bit of some gambling, but more importantly, let's try to limit the light switches. Now I'm on scoreboard, by the way. Appreciate that. So far, early in the retro, nice and clean. Here comes Christian Tagoe sorting through that hand. He'll go to M, 2 down. Now
Classics.
background plays the classic line he says as we go half or double down, so we go 8-6-4.
I'd forgotten about that line. Nice to see it come back again, because I believe... I know definitely in T4. I gotta remember, I think in T3, I think also covered the background round of 64 game, and I remember that pun.
Yeah, I mean, you cover that one with Brad background.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was the game. Yeah, that was the game. Yeah, I remember that because I was out and you and Sanford were covering that. But background is gonna draw right here. Now Tagoe, this is where the famous switches could come. Once again, we've been seeing this a lot lately. Early running the cards, and no one wants to make the break. We always have metas every time, but ever since Cody Lamas tried that tricolor meta yesterday, it's becoming something normal now. And all of a sudden, this is now the 4th game in a row where we've seen this hesitance to switch over. So we're in Draw City, full bend right here.
Yeah, with a 7-card start, you're going to obviously be looking at number efficiency with maybe a little ammo to work with. It's obviously, with us going into this early Draw City, difficult to tell. As you said, did we have ammunition to make that break, or did we just not want to? There, we finally do have a break into the yellow off the 7.
Little ditto here coming from background. There it is, the Grim, double Grim. And drip. Yeah. Well, Tagoe, the guy to make the break, not a surprise. He loves switching. He loves to turn up, as Clint play right there in the monkey. The question is, does background want to bite into that? Because you can see it, Tagoe's going to continue into Rad now.
As something that I noticed here too, you talk about the light switching here from Tagoe. When you refer back to that background Brad match, Brad also very well known for the rapid light switching, and it kind of seemed like background kind of bought into that a little bit. It kind of changed up a little bit more of his aggressiveness to light switching too. We're not seeing him do it right now here against Tagoe, but you got to think, if he's got the cards and he's got the opportunity, does he also tap into it here in this matchup?
Here comes background looking for check, or maybe to finish on a 3-bagger to finish it off, because all we see is lighters, and there it is. That should do it, 100%. Heat check, hockey, Allen, Knight, 1-0, background. Seth with the question.
Man, I'll tell you what, background, good job there to be able to take this 1-0, but I have to ask, because on that 7-card start, we talk about that sometimes there's that underlying where you can have that 1 or 2 really good ammunition cards. You guys started going into the Draw City in blue. We see that +4, we see that red +2. I'm going to assume that the red +2 probably might have been... Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was going to say probably the red +2 was off the draw, but I was going to ask, did you have that +4 right from the very get-go? Oh, wow, he had the +2 right out of the get-go as well. And that's what we talk about, KT, sometimes just kind of, fading off there, not showing what you've got in terms of those ammo cards until the very end. So, great job there by background to not really give any indication there to Tagoe what he had for that trifecta finish there at the close.
Tagoe, 2 things I thought with the initial switching, kind of limited on 7. Oh, you want to read that, Seth? Go ahead.
He says, had all the power cards in his starting card, didn't want to waste the +4 to get off blue when it had no clear finish. Yeah, I love the call on that.
Sometimes you gotta just play it cool. And, Christian Tagoe, I gotta say, man, the switching, it was 2 things. One, is my theory right in the sense that you're just trying to get the switch, maybe make a little break, get him to use some action cards early, considering you had all numbers? Or 2, where you're trying to do a light switch, fade the yellow to hope he goes back for maybe a backdoor reverse skip mana +2 combo that never transpired. Give me the insight. What we got?
Yeah, it was kind of just switching, hoping for some ammo to be used. I didn't really have much in terms of ammo. Like just like a skip was the only thing I had. Rest was numbers, so I was just trying to work with what I had.
Yeah, that's the problem, Seth. Thank you, Todd. You don't have much. You said a great quote yesterday. Sometimes you just know if you don't have the hand, you got to get creative. And luckily, you'd rather have no hand in game one because if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't, like you know, game seven, that's night night. Game one is at least a feeler. I know it's only 3 minutes, not the worst thing, but for background, you gotta take it where you can get it, and saving that +4, not trying to rush any ammo, give them a return, catch them while they're down, basically keep them down in a sense. Don't try to enforce anything was the right move, and you wonder with 7 cards, is that a formula for background? When you go upper tier, Tago's got more room to switch. That's the thing about light switching. When you have 12 to plus cards on the start, you can get way more
Oh
creative than
yeah,
seven.
so many
Sevens,
more options.
you're limited. You're limited. And I think Christian Tago, he's going to try to get this back when we get to game 3 upper tier. But for background, he's starting to find a formula. Remember, he's played some good opponents this year. When you play Brad, when you play a tournament winner, Matt Johnson, hard to believe we're saying that. Mack, you play Abion, who's also making a run all of a sudden this year. You play Logan, who's in the Super League battle, right? You start playing these mid-pack to now considered upper-tier players, you're going to start to learn lessons. And for Christian Tagoe, he's played everybody, but at the same time, while he's played everybody, he also knows it has to be 10 plus at minimum to get the creativity going. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what Tagoe will do in Game 3. But he does need to steal one here because if Background can get a steal on this one, 2-0, all it's going to take is one upper-tier start, which we know Background has in his game. And boom, this could get out of hand quick. So definitely a pivotal game, too. And let's say most series. It always reminds me of the Cap series, but in reverse. Someone likes upper tier, whereas Cap was just a low tier merchant.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, kind of one that that Tago can let get away from here in game one with not having much there on that opening hand. Really can't afford to let Background get a 2-0 lead here. Background gonna have the opportunity here with everything on the table except for 7 here in this second homestand. What are we looking for here for game number 2 here, Background?
Okay, there
1
it
up.
is.
Yep.
Keep it low. Yep.
Keeping it right in that lower mid-tier area.
Lower mid tier, crazy eights. Let's see. I mean, if Tago, I didn't think about this too. If you're Christian Tiles, we'll wait for Brad to start. Do you say screw it? Do you start stealing draws? Because if you can't get creative with the light switches on 7-8, do you start stealing a draw? Check out what the top deck is on the first draw. So I'm interested to see if you can do it. As Brad will start us up. And oh
Oh,
my
wow.
goodness.
Well,
Well,
to
that's
your
going to be a
point, I
9
think
card
that's an
start.
automatic, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's an
automatic
automatic
9
draw.
card. Yeah, it's classic background. The Tago will oblige. But the problem here I have with this, Seth, with if you're Christian Ty, you almost didn't want that because now you can't steal a draw because background got the first draw. So
Mm,
you're cut up with the second draw, and sometimes that second draw is just a number. So I'm
true.
interested to see if that theory works out. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Tago, this being an on the road, he'd be one play behind. So yeah, I mean,
There it is. Aggressive. Wow. You
nice
know what?
quad.
Might as well now because if you can't get the steal a draw, you might as well be aggressive.
That's
Let's see
right.
what Tago. There's a switch. Okay, so background goes into it. Interesting. But Tago, nothing skipped out. Wow,
Wow. Leaves it on a skip though. Interesting.
that should be just a classic cover up here. Just cover it right here. And don't try to go stupid. Yep.
Yep. Exactly right. So let's see if number efficiency works here for Tago.
Nope.
No.
And that's the problem, Seth. When you make that bold assumption to go to green, especially when there's no reads on that, you better make sure it sticks. Background may stick, and now Tago, as background levels up, and the vapor can't really do much other than just wait for draw city or hope for a light switch or maybe to red. But it'll go back to blue.
I don't know what's been going on these last 48 hours, but we're back into the 3-color hands again.
Yeah, that's that Cody Lamas, man. Once he unlocks these metas, it comes into
Right?
fruition. It's ridiculous. He is
It's
the
just, it's
meta
just spread
unlocker.
across the whole thing now.
But these guys switch a lot, and that's where we can break. Because now, just like that, 4 colors off the board. Pandora's open.
Oh! Hold the phone though.
But he got it. You
He
see,
had
Christian Tago.
reserve.
But it's a 0 sugar. That's the only concern I would have with that. Does he have a 5 now? He does.
He
Yep.
does. How about that?
Oh, but background back to green.
Oh, that's the ice. That's the ice color. There it is. Yep.
And for sure, Icer. No, it's double ditto 5.
Wow.
Oh,
Poker
boy,
hand?
background. Poker hand potentially. Tagoe's going to draw. Background for check. This would be big. No.
No.
Just a delayed Icer. But Tagoe gets a topper. Background nothing. That's big for Tagoe right there. Said you have to think. Now, if you're Tagoe, you're content because in a minute, for a second there, if background could have continued to run those greens, that would have been an impressive win, and that breaks your confidence. Great job to stay composed right there, as he'll make a break to Cody's Wild.
Breaks it open here. I think if you're background, you got to be careful because this could be a 3-card run to the finish. You'll leave it open there.
Nope.
Zero sugar.
Just straight numbers. Here comes background with the chance. Tagoe decides to go cool. What will background have? +4 here. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's big right now, Seth. You know why? Because green was not what Tagoe needed. He has to hope for a yellow 9, but if you go over to the yellow 9, he's going to go. Does background have a 9 efficiency? Backdoor. Let's see.
Going for check.
That's Cody Lamas.
Does.
That's the Cody Lamas. Yep.
Look
Remember
at
yesterday?
that. Yeah, shades of Cody from yesterday.
That's game. That's game. Has
Wow.
to be. You wouldn't go to that red. Yep. Unbelievable. Shades of Lamas. Yeah, that's textbook right there.
Yeah,
he did the same
that
thing
is
they played with the 9s.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah, you're right. It was with the 9s yesterday, too. Wow.
That's ridiculous. That's too. That's you can talk to back on that question, but that was crazy. That was textbook Lamas for me. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, background, obviously, kind of almost the same question I asked you back in game 1. Where'd that +4 come from? Was that another one you held out for a long time there? But then going to that number efficiency, we saw you do the ditto play with the green 5s. You eventually play the +4 to get to the green 9, bring it back over to red to finish it out in red. The number efficiency has been off the charts here so far, and obviously the timing of the ammo cards as well with that +4.
Well, I mean, for you, Tagoe, I thought the break to yellow was the good move, to be honest, because you might have had a finish right there. You threw the heater with the +2, but ultimately you just didn't have the green. And the green sometimes could be it. And there's the poker hand for sure.
Yep.
The green just couldn't go into the forefront. Do you think maybe a power play was considered right there on that yellow wild, or ultimately it was just 3 numbers and you were banking on no +4s or +2s on the other end?
I mean, I had a +2, but the plan wasn't to immediate. The power play was not something I had in mind when I was going into yellow. If given a chance to do it again, I still probably wouldn't have used the power play because I know what cards I had left, and it wouldn't. It would have felt wasted. So.
Yeah, I get that play. And once again, Seth, that's a poker hand. What else can you say?
Yeah.
+4 was a draw. I had numbers 2 1s, 3 5s, 4 9. What? You don't even expect those kind of hands. That's basically what is that? 9 cards right there, and it's just 3 cards, 1 5s and 9. That's ridiculous. That's a great hand, and I know people may say it's terrible, but that's a great hand because those double numbers, especially you get triples and quad numbers. Oh, you can just go crazy with that all day.
Yeah, and also
And I
why
think
it's good too is when you consider the fact that we had already established that Tagoe was out on green, so we had a 3-color hand. If you ever needed to with a number efficiency, you could go right back to that green, depending on, if you had the green 1 and green 5, which you had 2 of them, or green 9. So you always have that out to be able to go to an ISO play.
And as I said yesterday, we saw with Lamas, but more importantly, if you get those poker hands, you get that poker meta, it starts to become the arsenal. And if you can start getting that meta to work for you, those double, triple numbers, you go back, it's like a pseudo power play. And when you have that pseudo power play, that's big. But right now, it's all background, Seth. And look, Taco's only been able to switch the color 8 times. Why? Because look what we've done, 7 and 8. You can't get as creative with the light switching if it's only 5 through 8, or even 9 to an extent. The moment it gets to 10 plus, which we know it's coming, this is where the game will be drawn. I think these first 2, it's in background's wheelhouse. Now, if background can play his game in 5-5, we're firing his game 3, then we're talking, because that's going to be the ultimate test for BC when Tagoe bumps up the old card starter.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, as you mentioned there with the color swaps, pretty even between the two of them, but low from what we would expect, obviously, out of what we've seen out of Tagoe in 2 games so far. The big difference maker, I think, really has been those wild +4s, which right now has been a 2-0 advantage to background. He's been able to utilize them in these first 2 games to close out the first 2 games and have this advantage going into Tagoe's homestand. His first homestand, we'll see what he's going to be able to do to try to come back, at least draw it back 2-1, maybe have these back-to-back homestands and bring it back to a 2-2 even series, but it begins here now. Tagoe, open board here. What are we going for game 3?
Yeah, you got to
There
do
you
it.
go.
He's going up. Yeah,
Yep.
you knew this was coming. If you don't do this move now, then when? I think for Tagoe, you got to make the break here, no doubt.
Even dozen to start game 3. And we'll start in red. Might take a little time here, too, before we start, right? Because, before 7, 8 cards start, you kind of have a general idea of what the strategy is going to be to kick off. But here now a little bit more consideration comes into play, especially depending on the distribution of the ammunition.
Well, Tagoe's a fast shooter anyway. I'm not surprised that he just went right off the bat. But I'm a little nervous here now, Seth, because we're getting into this territory where anything goes. And that's a scary... Oh, my goodness. Look at this.
Right out of the gate there with the stacked +2, and a lot of times people don't want to play those +2s that quickly and build up the hand on the other side, but you're at a 2-0 advantage right now, so keep your foot on the throttle, I guess. That kind of does make sense. Force Tagoe to play from behind.
The only thing I will say, this enables light switching, and this is what Christian Tagoe made. He may want. The more cards he can get, ironically, the more creative he can get with the light switching. That's the only thing I have to caution here, unless it's just a ridiculous stacked hands. There goes Tagoe to pluser.
It's just a
you
little
can see a little bit more of a respect there. A little respect there, even though it's 7 cards right there. What if there's a 7-card chain? You start to think about that and throw that +2. You can't take him with you. So Tagoe does that jump and pump there, but it's going to work because background's iced on blue.
Well, even if there's not a 7-card chain, if he had the 6-card chain, he's got the power play still that could link that together. Right. So that's something else he had to consider too.
No, this is the light switching now. Background going to try to go for the yellow. Still feels confident that if Tagoe enables it, there's the slots. Pull it down.
See if background's able to run in red, or does Tagoe maybe find a... Oh, a +2 into a draw. Leaves it on the +2. Interesting.
Yeah. May have been top decked. I wouldn't know why. Yeah, at that point you probably would play in the other chain, so probably top decked the Drew. Yep.
We had 4 other +2s out there. Oh wow. Had background iced out. Swaps to the blue. Fast. Background over to the green. Oh, and there you go. Skittles!
Pop them out. There it is. 4 of a kind right there. 4 of a kind Skittles on the blue deuce. Into the red. We got red deuce, blue deuce, green deuce, yellow deuce. As there's the Skittles
to the ref.
Yep. Classic good old Zach Brad combo in the gun bow ties. There we go. Back to the blue from Tagoe in the M. It's gonna get aggressive. It's only gonna get more aggressive here, Seth, from Tagoe. He knows the more cards he can get, the more creative it can be. And just like that, he's tied the game.
Look at that. And now, look at the read that Tagoe's going to have on background. Iced out in blue and red. 2-color hand.
Yeah, and now Tagoe is starting to feel it a little bit. He's starting to get these reads more cleaner. Doesn't ditto, but that could enable another switch from background, especially considering you ditto it. It's going to be a classic triple. Double Yosh in the flesh man Rogers.
It takes it from an even 7-7 now to a 4-7.
We saw this yesterday with Lamas, though. What did Cody Lamas do? He tried to flush the scoreboard to flush +4s. This case,
yes.
The background was looking for a switch. Let's see. Background typing it out, looking for something on the 7. There it is. Into you, buddy.
Green wild. So one would have to assume.
Oh man,
with that change off the yellow, it's all green left here for background. One would have to assume he's out of red, he's out of blue. He made the green wild swap off of yellow, so he has to have only green left. And Tagoe can't do anything to get out of it.
It's right now. It's going to be Christian Tagoe's got a +4 finish. Your background's got a plus. Someone's got a +4. Here we go.
Interesting. Went for check.
Oh, wait a minute.
Number fish?
Gamble. What a gamble this is. Is this background for the 3-0? It is
Oh
number
my
fish.
gosh!
Is that the same 9 combo too? Hold the phone. Wait a minute. I think it's the same 9s. Yeah.
What a fade!
It's the
I
9.
thought he was out of red. I legit thought he was out of red, but he faded to green, left the 9 with the number efficiency in red.
Wow. And then Tagoe couldn't power play. The moment you get to Uno, it's safe zone. And
Right.
even if he tried it, wow, you got to go to background now. That was crazy fade. That was one of the best fades I've seen in a while.
Yeah, background. Normally, when we're not having the pressure and the adrenaline and the mental anguish of trying to figure out what's going on the other side of the table, we're able to kind of kick back and be able to have a more objective look from the commentator standpoint. And you faked me out in all of that. I thought you were left in green completely, out on the other 3 colors. You go with the number efficiency there. So my question to you is twofold. Number one, was that the plan right from the beginning, to fade off of the red, leave that for the end, so that way you kind of kept the cards close to the chest, didn't necessarily give the read to Tagoe on the other side? But number two, you were up 2-0. I kind of wondered, even if you were going to be finishing this out in green, if the power play was going to come into play. Was it pretty much just you had the plan in mind? If it worked out, it worked out. If it didn't work out, you still wanted to have that power play preserved for Game 4?
Tagoe, I don't know, man. I think you got everything you wanted in that game. You had, I thought when background gave you all that stuff, even leaving +2s open, I thought right there and then, that's Christian Tagoe territory. You can be able to switch it clean, but ultimately it's just been able to match your switching because you haven't been able to get an edge. And I was going to think a lot of numbers. Wow. So no, used the wild, yes, but before that, no. Consider power. See, if Tagoe's getting a lot of numbers here set, that means he's not getting enough double. Is that a fair assessment, Tagoe? You're getting the numbers, but a lot of these double numbers background's getting, and you feel it's just neutralizing the game too much. Is that a fair assessment? Because numbers can work, but if your opponent also has double, triple, quad numbers, you can't get creative with it. So basically, your set, the bot's neutralizing the game on numbers. Background going aggressive on the ammo early work, but at the same time, it was close for comfort because Tagoe did get down to Uno. It was a double. We rarely see double Uno in this league. It's very rare.
Yeah.
That's the first time we saw it in a long time.
And it's really interesting that before he used the wild to get over to green, it was the thought process of trying the number efficiency with the red 9. So I'm kind of wondering here, just looking at it, did he... I want to go back and see where the swap was off of red, because I'm trying to figure out, did he feel like maybe that red 9 was going to box him in? So there's a +2 played there. I'm trying to see if he had any cards played on him where he had to draw, and I don't think he did. He did the +2. So okay, so here's what I'm thinking might have potentially happened here. Was I think when he played the red +2 into the draw, I think maybe the draw might have been the red 9. And so he was kind of boxed in there when it ended up going over into yellow following that.
Maybe. We can ask him that. Let me see. Not that far. The red 9 was one of the draws on blue. Red 9.
Blue.
Let me see.
So that would have been actually before that.
Oh, yeah, I see where he's at. Yeah, I see what he's talking about.
Which is interesting because he could have done a double play there, right? He could have done the red +2 into a red 9 rather than the red +2 into a draw.
It had to be poker, though.
Yeah.
I had to ask back, or was it too much of a poker hand where you felt, no, this draw after that. Oh, so the blue 6.
Oh, after the Skittles.
So he top decked the red 9.
Yep.
He top decked the red. Okay.
Okay.
So
that does make sense then. So at that point in time, before the wild over into green, probably kind of, I mean, fortunate for him, the poker hand type thing there with having a green 9 to be able to get over there, but maybe kind of, and I've had this situation yesterday where you have that one outlying card and you're thinking, man, how do I get to that?
Right. That's crazy though to think about that, Seth, because that just fell into his lap.
It
There's
did.
nothing Tagoe did wrong. It was just an untimely draw of a red. You don't think usually it's a +4, you're pissed, but a red 9, you wouldn't think that would come into the equation. Not so fast. It came into the equation. So just shows you how the momentum can just flip flop in this series. It's crazy.
And we talk about how no two games are the same. You look back at the first two games, it was the +4 that was a difference maker. We didn't have one. We didn't have one here in this game. It was basically down to the number efficiency there, the poker hands, if you will, the color control. Obviously,
Right.
one regular wild played there to bring it to green in the close, but it was mostly the +2s that we saw in the early going that were the ammunition cards played here, and then draining of the hands with the skip reverse metas.
Yeah, that's wild though. I'm still flabbergasted of how a red 9. You just never know what number is going to connect. And
No, you don't.
there it is. And I mean for Tiger, this is do or die. I know we have T5, but you don't want a chance. I still have tremendous things to say about him in T5. We know what he can do in the pressure, but you got to get a win here. You don't want to get this sweep curse or be stuck in this rut. So he's going to have to dig deep. As for background, you keep doing what you're doing. You
Yep.
got to keep limiting the switches, and I think one of the ways to do that is put the game in a box. Get it down to 4 or 5 cards, and that's when the switching actually can be turned off. Where if you try to switch, you can get over aggressive and you start over analyzing. So he's got to keep again down to 4 or 5. Put him in a box. Keep pounding the rock on the ammo, and ironically on his upper tier, it's working. And if he doesn't win this game, he can always go back to mid or low tier. It seems to be working better because the light switching is limits. It's definitely a strategy element, and I probably would have wilded into red rather than yellow if I didn't have the poker. High chance again the color I want. Gotcha. So
Yep.
He's playing his tactical. Tagoe's going to have to find a little bit way to get creative, Seth. Otherwise, this could be a quick series here. We'll see.
Could very well. We'll have to see here. Tagoe does have the benefit of the power play still, but so does background on the other side. Another homestand here for Tagoe. What are we going for? It's still an open table in terms of what you can start with here. We're going 14. We're not quite going full send. We're right on the brink of it, but we'll go 14 here. He might be keeping that full send in his hip pocket if he's able to draw this series to a 3-1.
Yeah, he's got to get to 6 to get to the full set. Here we go. 14 double OGs, though. It's going to be yellow 1 now. Let's see if Tagoe can get something here started, maybe with switching. That's what he loves here on 14, more options. He's going to play it cool for once. Maybe sometimes if you just don't want to switch, you try to adjust late in the game, but I still think Christian Tagoe is going to find a way. That's a mistake. Well, maybe not. We'll see.
Not. Okay.
We'll see. Maybe. We'll see. This is where Tagoe could switch it. Let's see. No, not going to happen. So
I feel like I was actually double play into a ditto, if you will. But you got to think that power play is right in the forefront of the mind here for background. Maybe not necessarily for Tagoe, depending on what he's got, though. He is iced out on blue. Background able to run in it. You know, we started with 14 cards. Where do you we always talk about that end zone with power play in the equation more than likely here, especially on the side of background. What do you think? Do we maybe start considering around the 7 to 6 cards left where the power play maybe could be the chain, the link in the chain?
Forget the power play. So we just got Skittles on the 9s.
Oh, we did. Wow.
Unbelievable.
I missed that.
Nick accosted Allen over to Brian, and what is it with these 9s today? Because these 9s have been really the decider of this. It's weird. We've rarely seen. We know the 3s, but that's at the end. This is 9s every single game. It's decided. It's weird.
We've ended 2 of the 3 games on 9s, on trips 9s.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think as we continue with this poker meta, because look at this. Similar numbers, 2s, 9s again. That's all it is. Full houses. I've never seen something like this, man.
I haven't either. At least not this consistently. Like we've seen a game here, we've seen a game there, but not consistently here for now 4 straight games.
Yeah, this is something, man. We talked about Cody's tricolor. Now we got a new meta unlocked here with every game is just poker. We know it's possible, but for Tagoe, once he can't light switch, he's in a box. He needs to find the switch here, and there we go. He needs it.
I'll throw out a conspiracy. Do you think it's because we're in Jackpot June we're seeing the poker hand meta now?
Well, we've always had
I'm
this.
just saying.
We've always had this meta, though. Lamas and I always taught. It always existed years even before the old bot. It's just no one picked up on it. Now. It's almost becoming a routine because people who have experienced it before are picking up as that's a huge technical win. There it is. Yeah, Christian Tagoe needed that set because I don't think background even laid a hand on him. No. Let me check.
No, I don't think so.
That was plan A. Yeah, Tagoe pretty much plan A right there. And then once you get on that one draw, I don't really think you had much to filter, but you did have that one draw. Did you get anything special? A good win there to even at least get some momentum back in your side.
I just got a number. I got a number out of the draw. Everything I already had.
Yeah, the wild card. Yeah, I don't really have much of a question here, Seth, because it was plan A, and I don't think background even laid a hand with anything. Just numbers, straight up.
Yeah, I mean, back row, we kind of saw again there the poker hands and whatnot. You were able to find the success there on the 12 card start. Was there just maybe just a little bit too much broken up there in that hand to be able to chain something together? Because we talked about the fact with being up 3-0, if you were able to find just that one missing link, you had the power play to chain it together. Was that just not an option?
I don't even know. I'm not even sure. I look at this here, so I'm not even sure. Even if he had something.
Nearly at the point of power play, needed 2 more turns. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
We talk about it comes down to the timing there, but yeah, he expected Tagoe to run in yellow a little bit longer, and got iced out. I believe it was one on the greens as well. So firmly in control of that game was Tagoe.
Yeah, that's basically a situation where you weren't close enough for a power play. You burn it there, and you don't have it. You're giving ridiculous amount of momentum to the other side. Just keep it in reserve. Take the 3-1. Not the worst thing in the world. You got the one game you need on his homestand. Now you're coming back at home. You got really 3 shots at the apple. I mean, you really had 4 shots at the apple. When you're up 3, you got 4 shots at the apple. And here's the second shot of the apple coming up for background. For Tagoe, you got to prepare for a lower deck start realistically, and you got to figure out a way to adjust because you just can't switch it, be as creative on a 5 or a 6 compared to, let's say, a 14 or a 13. And that's for a full sense. So he's going to have to be prepared and try to learn what he had in those first 2 games. And maybe instead of trying to reverse switching here, try to steal one because he's going to have to try to steal. Ty, is that the game plan now moving forward? If he goes low, you're going to try to find creative ways to steal a deck or steal a topper?
It depends on how low he goes, but I'm hoping for a bit more luck on my side.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think that's really what it comes down to, Seth. If it's going to go that low, Lady Luck's going to have to come into play for sure.
Let's see how low he decides to go here. As his 3rd homestand, trying to close this thing out here. Background, what are we looking for? I think I have an idea of what it could be. Okay, well, I was actually on the wrong side. I thought it might be the 9, but he wants to go even lower down there into the 6.
Yeah,
which I guess kind of makes sense because in 9 you got more of an opportunity for the light switch, and you take it completely out of the equation with the lower 6 card start.
6 cards, keep it low, and just see how it goes. Remember, there's not many options with power play on the first turn, so you can have a 4-bagger, and that's what you don't need, though.
Ooh.
That's what Tagoe needs. He needs to take advantage of it right now. Oh my goodness.
Well.
So much for that. Neutralize. You wonder if you're Tagoe, do you dare switch? And he'll get a topper. And that's all I could think of. That was the perfect time to switch, too, when you leave it open. Let's see if he does it here. No? Ooh, so he stole one. That's steal a topper.
Yep.
And there's the switch.
There's the light switch into yellow.
Oh, no. He's iced on 2. He's iced on 2 now.
So, well, I guess it's more common when you're in a low start, but we're back to 3 color again.
in a way, but this might be 2-color hand for Tagoe, and background might have 3, and 3's bigger than 2. That's the only downside.
Can't
Oh
swap
boy,
off of the 0 sugar. 1
needs
up.
something here. Nothing's working.
Background just playing numbers here, trying to avoid that one that
Oh, now
Tagoe
he's
needs.
out.
Now he's iced.
So it's 2-color now. We're waiting for blue. Yeah, we're waiting for blue. Who wants to break? Who wants to blink? Or blue? Sorry, blue and green. Who
Yep.
wants to blink to one of those colors now? It's going to be the options. We could be here for a while.
We could very well be. I mean, one would have to assume all numbers, no ammo. There it is.
Yep, there's the break. So background over to blue. Tagoe, does he undercut the green? No, doubles. Got the lead.
Smart double.
Got
Try and draw at least close to back even.
got chip away. Remember, you're going to start to feel it. There's the green. That's all 4. Yep. How does background respond to this green? Into the last color progression we go. Looking for a back end. Let's see.
Taking his time, he might have a double play here. Oh, how about trips
Trips.
play?
Yeah, that's more freshies for Tagoe, but the 6-possession lead, Tagoe fires right back. There it is.
Yep.
Neutralized. You had to. You can't take the risk. You can't take him home with you.
Not with a power play on both sides. You can't risk it. Not down at 4.
Ooh. Okay, so back to blue. That's where Tagoe flipped. Let's see if he saved. Yep. Saves it. 0 sugar, though. It's not much he can really do other than just relax, and background can run up gangsta. Can Tagoe get this back to green? He got it.
He does. Yep. Does that ice out?
No.
Background had green in reserve.
Tagoe, what does he got? +2s are juiced. It's got to be important. Just a double.
Little
with
double.
the ditto.
Down to 3. Power play and play. Is there a link with 3 cards left here?
Is there a link, or is it just to get the check? Let's see. Here comes background. Let's see what it'll be. Does he look for the win right here? Let's find out. Or is he just power play to finish it? Tagoe, all I can do is sit and watch, really. Tagoe thinks it's over.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute. It's not over. He left it open on the...
That's weird.
That's crazy, Seth, because earlier in the game he had said, what did he say? I didn't want to use the +4. I didn't have the finisher. This time he pulls the pin.
So...
The only
thing I could think of is he played maybe the +4 to make sure that it iced out any run that Tagoe would have, but honestly, I think at that point I would have saved the +4. Especially with
the 9s again.
Oh,
it's the 9s.
Oh my gosh, no way. No.
Tagoe put that number has been with background the whole game. That top 4 has been with him. Oh, what does he have left in this shit?
This time I'm prepared. Oh, did he top deck a +4? Maybe a yellow +2?
Yeah, he came ready to the party. There it is. Tie game.
Keeps it in the yellow, however.
I'm gonna ask background that +4 draw. That is a move and a half.
I could get it if he obviously. It looks like he ended up having it
boy.
Ooh, go back to green. It looked like he had 2-color suit. But
blue, though.
Wow.
Crossover back, and now it's turning into a high ammo game, and that favors Tagoe. Yeah, it favored him now, Seth, because when it's high ammo, you're gonna get more cards, more creativity and switching. That just opened the floor. Oh boy. Tagoe, we'll have to see what he can do here. Can he get this to a game 6? Because this would be a huge momentum shift.
Can he get it to check? He can.
Remember, he doesn't need to use power play, so you don't know if it draw. Is
iced out. Number of fish to close out for Tagoe.
Wow, that's a big momentum shifter. I mean, he was dead in the water, and then all of a sudden, a lifeline, a little buoy came into the casino and saved him. You got to ask the questions. I'm still trying to think about this one. I got to think about that one.
We're still trying to figure that one out there. That +4 into the red skip into the draw there background. You obviously, I'm assuming that the +4 was maybe a little bit more defensive to make sure that you iced out any potential run on the other side, but what was the outlying card that you had there? Obviously, it would seem the power play wouldn't get you to that, but I'm kind of a little confused about that there. Maybe even just do the skip into the draw and save the +4, or did you think that if you did that, it'd be one turn too late?
I mean, obviously, yeah, I'm not sure where to think. I don't know where to go with this one. So I hold the phone on the question. So I want to see.
Didn't have the cards to get to Uno power play territory.
Why nine?
Yellow 9 was the card left.
So I guess the only thing he would.
And why to put the pressure on? I don't remember how many cards Tagoe had at that time. That's the
I
one
think he
thing
had
that
two.
was it.
Maybe?
Was it only 2 at that point when?
No, I don't think it was two. I think it was. I think it was actually 4, 3.
Okay.
If it was 4, it'd be. Was it 4, Tago?
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
4. Yeah,
it was 4. Okay.
yeah. So that it puts him to 8.
It's a weird one. It's a really weird
Yeah.
one because,
Oh, that's tough.
I know hindsight's 2020, obviously, because we've seen how this one closed out. But in the moment, I don't know. I kind of almost wonder if the red skip into the draw saved that +4, which it had been pivotal for him in terms of momentum in the first 2 games. Save that +4 there.
If he goes to 1, yeah, no chance. That I would agree with. So I mean, Ty, I wasn't prepared to ask you a question to win this. I thought right there up in my mind, it's over. But you found a way. The only thing I could think of is maybe with the red off the initial get-go draw. Did you want to isolate the game and just draw back with him on the red? Because that's all I can realistically think of. Just go back with him instead of trying to push the pace and maybe give him more of a delta. Because I'm still speechless of that move. I thought for sure it was over too. So I'm just gonna be real. I didn't have a question prepared, but that's all I can really say.
I was totally expecting a power play there. I thought my days are numbered. It's over for me. But I will say that +4 that I had was not with me until I did my last draw on red when
Wow.
background switched to yellow. That +4 gave me a bunch of gave me like gave me some ammo. I had like a wild from it, but that +4 came before he switched to yellow.
That's brutal. Now that makes you really question if he had nothing. Maybe the red skip into a draw could have been a good move.
Yeah,
Maybe it could have.
yeah.
But the hindsight's 2020. Looking back, I think Tagoe got away with murder. I don't know how he won that one. Because it appeared he didn't have much. You could just tell he was just trying to go back with background and maybe get something going, maybe with the draws, because he just didn't have anything. That's what happens on 6. But to find a way here now, Seth, and now the momentum's back in his favor because we know it's going back up. And all of a sudden, if you're back, you got to get back locked in because sure, it's a tough move to swallow, but you're still up 3-2, right? You still have the power play, and maybe even if you lose, if you somehow don't win this game, but you can flush this pack, you still have the advantage. Now the goal is either you got the clear win, or you try to flush Tagoe's pack. If you're Tagoe, you got nothing to lose. Even if you got to use the power play, just bring it back to 7. Anything can happen.
Yes, exactly.
Anything can happen. So I don't know. He's doing a good job, especially since he's only had that 1 +4. Legit, that first +4 he played was his first one to save the game. Has brought it back, which is crazy.
That is nuts. All right, well, that was a much-needed win for Tagoe, and now he gets a home stand here for Game 6, trying to draw it back
This has
even
gotta be a
3-3. Tagoe, what are we looking at here?
This has to be it. If this isn't a center in his last chance, I'd be stunned.
You don't think he would save it to try if he was able to get to a game? Oh, wait, no, he wouldn't have the call on that. You're right. This is his last homestand.
This is it. It's all or no. I'd be stunned if it isn't, but who knows? He just can't. Yeah. Well, send it. There it is. Let's send it. You got no choice.
Yeah, Brad
You know
had that
crazy?
already loaded up and ready to go too.
We haven't seen many full sends this tournament. It's been kind of low. It's been more gambling on 5 and 8 and 9. We haven't seen many senders, which is once again that 9 has just been ridiculous all day too. That's another thing that's been a weird story. The 9 card has been in background side, so you got to wonder. Well, that's crazy. We've seen
Right,
games
out
that
of the
end
gate.
on 9s, and now we're starting on 9s. It's just wild.
Hey, we're setting the tone here, though. It's a pivotal game for Tagoe, his last homestand, so why not come out firing with those late switches you're known for?
He's going to do it, and you can do it. You can do it now. You're on 15. You can be more creative with the looks and the packages, whereas you're on 5 or a 6 or a 7. You're stuck. You can only do so much. Game 6, Tagoe looking to tie this up, though.
Light switch off into the green. Background gonna follow him there. Just bear in mind, we started on yellow. We light switched immediately off of yellow, so are we looking at that as the Pandora's box color? We haven't run in blue yet either.
Right now, I think it's about patience here, Seth. I know it's crazy in the Game 6. Why would you say patience? But you have to be patient. You can't go too aggressive. You can't go wild. And there's the wild blue to background, but that's still patient in a sense. Try to limit your options, see where it goes.
Background potentially iced out on green. Utilizing that wild to get over to blue. We'll run in blue for a bit here. Gotta wonder
Tagoe
if
into
there'll
the
be a point that Tagoe would try to get back to the green if he's got it.
Oh, that's a mistake, Seth.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Now Tagoe can just flip off that. But he's not going to do it, so he'll get plus. He gets lucky.
He'll take the +2.
Yeah, he'll get the +2. And that you see, that's the pressure coming in now. You got, hold on. Okay. The pressure's starting to come in here, Seth. Now, if your background, that's another mistake. You got to get it back. You got to get back to that mindset of, okay, I've made these mistakes now. One of them maybe just more hindsight. This one's more on you. How do you lock back in? Because you can sense when you're trying to close out the game, that's when it gets tense. And there it is. Tagoe rips the Band-Aid again on a 9. Here comes background now. Let's see. Does he flip back to blue? Tagoe wasn't wasting time. Oh, boy. That's another mistake, though, Seth.
Yeah.
And now if you go to blues, Tagoe want the blue. That's the risk. Let's see.
First time into the yellow since the initial start.
Oh, boy. I don't know.
Whoa.
You going to go for it. Does Tagoe want it? Let's see. No.
Iced out.
Interesting. Tagoe didn't want the blue, which is
Tagoe
weird.
didn't want blue, and background didn't want green.
Blue +2 into a 7, so the 3's begun. So it's a neutralized game. We're back to square one. And Tagoe to red.
Goes
so there we
to
go.
red. Okay. Background
Let's
should
see what
be
the-
able to.
Game!
Whoa! With
Oh, my
7?
That's way deep. That's extreme. It's either a game or you just get this down and check.
All right, he's
and hope
made the mistakes we saw. He's got to do this carefully. He's got to make sure he gets it all typed in.
Or just do that. Yeah,
Yep,
one at
this
a
is
time.
smart. One at a time.
Oh, this is crazy, though. This is from way deep.
He's got to make sure he gets that Uno called in here, too. You know that Tagoe's going to have it geared up for the call out.
There you go. Is this a +4 finish to win, or is
It
it just
has
like I
to
said,
be.
a check? Is it double numbers or does background light the candle for a 4-2? And yeah, there's the +4.
Wow.
That's a ridiculous way to finish it
That
off.
is
Wow.
nuts.
There's nothing Tagoe, you couldn't have done nothing there, right? There's no way.
No, because a lot of the cards I had were in both red and yellow. So there's not actually much I could not do. I had a yellow 7. I could have went to yellow, but that wouldn't have changed anything.
No.
Or maybe
he's got every color under the sun on a 4-card bat. Yeah. Yeah, background. Oh, Seth, I'll say this much though. Definitely got away with a little bit with the mistakes, but other than that, I think the hand that plan A really got you because Tagoe really only had red and yellow. He was a ticking time bomb then, pretty much. Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. We'll kind of recover that game. But yeah, Seth, maybe that's why the mistakes were happening. You just had this ridiculous hand. We hadn't seen it all game. You start to get hesitant. You start to think about the finish line. And it's going to work here today, but you can't do that against Nick. I mean, this
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of hockey. When hockey beat AU, we said it yesterday. He's going to have to learn because Pat Johnson, he'll kill you on ammo control. Guy has definitely developed a new skill on that. Nick, he's not a tough. He's not a tough. He's a tough player, but he's not the toughest player in terms of making you pay for mistakes because he's more strategical in the sense that he could go 2, 3 deep, 4, 5, 6 different looks. Pack ammo control. Nick has 7 to 10 different looks, so he could easily just get you out of. He can get you out of a situation in a heartbeat. And you make a mistake, he'll make you pay for it in more of a Jedi way. Pack will make you pay for it on ammo. Nick will make you pay for it on strategy. That's the difference between those one seeds. But we'll wait for background. I mean, Tagoe, obviously, as I said off the top of the show, I think this is you're the only guy I believe, maybe Alan to an extent. I think you too, Brock, maybe Brock, but I think you and Alan specifically. You guys have the T5 knowledge. You guys are both pressure-oriented players. How do you try to make your strategy for your home coming next month? Because we all know you can, and with the way Super League bubble is, I don't even think you need to win the whole tournament next tour. I think the way it's looking, maybe 4 wins is enough. Get to a Final Four, even an Elite Eight with 3 damn good wins, and you're in the mix. So what do you got to do to get it back for T5? Seth's going to give you the questions background once we hear from Tagoe.
Yeah, background. I was just gonna ask real quickly here. I'm looking back here through this game, trying to find the pivotal point. And I think the pivotal point was when you got hit with the +4 there that went into red. You had the mistake there with the blue +2, but then we saw you be able to play another blue +2 later on. What did you get on the return of that +4 that helped you be able to find that run that you needed to the close? Because it looked like initially when I was looking back through here like you'd been able to hoard the skips and reverses, but I would have to assume some of that was on the return of the +4.
You can answer that, Tagoe, too, about T5. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, yeah. To answer your question, KT, I mean, if this series, I mean, there's not much I could have done. T5, I just gotta hope that my games don't end up being like this one. Uh, and I just maybe practice a bit more. I haven't been practicing in a while, so
That's true.
maybe do a bit of that. But all in all, I have faith that I will do much better in T5. Hopefully, get past round 32 as well. That's all I can really hope for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the best mindset to have. As I said, I'm watching. I'm still circle. Usually, you circle guys for one tournament. When I look who won last year, it was Tagoe. And what Tagoe has, and those 3 people that made the podium last year, Brock was well included, and I believe Alan, the other one. The last tournament is weird because there are guys that are going to be locked in Super League that they just feel confident. Normally, you have something to play for. I don't know if everyone's going to believe in that because this year it's so close. The buy spots might actually fluctuate. There might only be 1 or 2 guys that leads the pack entering that last reveal. So maybe if you play one of those people, they may just say, you know what, I need a resume builder. I don't know. But with the way things are shaping up, I still have faith that Tagoe and Brock and Allen, Brock's still in, but at least Tagoe, I think they can still make a run. And I don't believe they're going to need to win a tournament. I think both those guys can make a Final Four. And there's a case where both of them could get into Super League because it's just so close. But for background here, despite the mistakes, you look at that hand, Seth. I don't think it would have made a difference. The green 2, in fact, probably.
That's the only outlier, really, is the green 2.
Yeah, yeah. He saved the game even before then because if he doesn't +4, that's a power play waiting to happen. So that green 2 actually gave him a little bit of bide time, and ultimately it wasn't enough, though.
So,
Tagoe.
just a quick question here for background as well, based off of something that you were talking about. Background, we saw, obviously, you put together a stellar series, but we saw here in Game 6, we saw a couple of those mistakes. And was that just a case of the fact that you were trying to not only put in the commands, but also focus on maybe a couple of paths to be able to get to the end? And with that being said, you're going up against the #1 seed here in the Hearts region and Nick, who had that bye here in the round of 32. You've yet in 2025 to get out of the round of 32. So was those just a couple of minor mistakes here that was just the kind of in the moment, or is that something that you kind of think you need to focus on here and get ready to take on a number 1 seed in the upcoming next round?
Yeah, that number 1 seed, Nick Back, that'll be an interesting one because this was supposedly that one was supposed to happen. I think it was supposed to be in either. Maybe it was supposed to happen in March, but never did. Same with Ashley. I think Background was in that weird pile where they were in the same region, so we'll see. But I don't know, man. It's hard to handicap that game because really it's everything's on the line for Background. Nick's already
Right.
locked in. He's already packed his bags to title. He doesn't. And with the way the things are looking, I don't see him losing a top 6 spot after this tournament. If anything, the Background win is probably, if anything, if you're looking at this from Nick, do you basically have 2%? Do you have a chance to experiment here and give Background maybe not your best looks, or do you say, you know what, I can't afford a quad 3 loss right now. I better go out there in full send. So Nick's going to have to make that decision. But for Background, there is no decision. You're not at top spot, so what do? You go 3 times harder. You go 3 times harder on switches, 3 times harder on gambling, 3 times harder on blah, blah, blah. And guess what? That can pay off, and you can read that. Go ahead.
Yeah, is it just mistyping the blue 3 over red 3? It was because the screen didn't scroll down, so he didn't see that the color changed. And I've had that happen to me before. I've been there, done that, so I understand that. I'm just going to answer what you had there for that question about Nick, though. I understand the possibility of experimentation, but I'm going to tell you this right now. In terms of Super League, with what I've seen here out of not only here these first games in the round of 64 here for Jackpot June, but even we could go back to May, to April, to March. I don't think anybody can really go into Super League confident. And a big reason for it is what we have continually talked about, how no 2 games have been the same. There has been no consistent meta with this bot. You do not have any idea what the ammo distribution is going to be. Obviously, it's good to have the confidence of, going in that you've had a great run to get into Super League, but in my opinion, all that goes into the background again. It's a clean slate when we get to Super League, and you're starting from square one. So I don't think that anybody can absolutely go into Super League thinking, I got this thing on lock. I don't think that that's a mentality you can have because, as I said yesterday, I had a certain mentality going into that series against Monkey. Excuse me. And the bot meta said, no, hold on. Watch this. Complete opposite of what you're expecting.
Well, that's the problem on a first-year platform. You know, it's that. Look at any sport. When you change the regulation or a platform, it takes years to figure it. Years to build a notebook. We don't have a notebook. We're only in year 1 of this project, right, of this bot. And we're not going to get to a year 3. Even next year, I hate to say it, I expect the same thing. Next year, I expect the same exact thing. It's going to be wild, crazy, parody city. Year 3, people are going to lock it down, though. I think year 3, there's going to be enough metas to where when we get to, I don't even know what season, that'd be 27, at least year 3 of this bot, we'll start to get to that meta. Okay, now people know what's going on. Right, now we understand. We understand what poker, blah, blah, blah. But this year, it's wide open. I don't know. Somebody in this call can win Super League. That's not even in the top 25 right now. That's just how it is in this league. It's very competitive, right? There's so much experience. Everyone's good up here. And the X factor is when you get to the playoffs, do you want to buy, right? Do you want more rest? I don't know. Do you want a group stage? You probably do, but then you risk the threat of, okay, it's a little longer this year, and the actual rounds of 8 and 4 and the finale is a little longer. They want Brad for that. We made some changes, so it's not just best of 7, round 12, we're done. So there's an advantage to a bye instead of just having 7 games. You have 9 to figure, and then 11 and 13. Versus the group stage we saw with JT, I mean, he was just able to run it. He was just able to run it clean, and that's all you can really ask for. Did Background answer our Nick? I don't even know.
He didn't answer about Nick. He was just talking. He mentioned about the mistakes. There was mistyping. So,
real quick before we go, Background, your thoughts on playing? I think you've seen Nick around, but if you want to, your thoughts on that. I mean, listen. Background's got this game. Unfortunately, this isn't a resume builder right now. The only way this is going to be a resume builder is, as I said, Tagoe ages it well in T5. But it depends who you lose to and win to. That's the whole thing with the resume thing. For background, the next game is everything. That's a quad 1 player. That is the number 2 player in the league. And let's face it, if it hadn't been for a little bit of some shenanigans with the old power play, that's probably the number 1 player in the league with Monkey.
Yep.
So this is a top 2 player in the league. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. Go out there and send it. And as I say, I think if you're background, you go triple down everything. You triple down the gamble. You triple down the 6, 7, 8. You triple down on the ammo if you have the camouflage. You triple down at whatever you learn and go out there and make it happen. Because at the end of the day, this is probably your golden chance. This is going to be a playoff game for background more than it is for Nick. Nick will treat it more as a learning experience for sure because he gets to see unique style he's never played with. And just in case you get the Super Bowl, you put a file back in your notebook. But you got to go into this game if you're background triple down. What do you have to lose? If you lose here, okay, you know what I did? Rookie season, 4-4, entering my final tournament. You're in a shot. You know, you still got a shot, and then to be a rookie and still have a chance at the end of the tunnel, that's an accomplishment anyway. The class system, the rookie class is so wide open. It's pretty much between him and I think I want to say Taki, because we know Gon is unfortunately not going to be here. And who knows what he'll be in T5, but you got a shot. You pretty much are the main rookie to look at, considering we don't have God until he gets back. So that's why that he says, "Grats, honestly, getting through round 3 should be more of an achievement than just being next." So yeah, just get through this first Sweet 16 and take it from there. If you can get that, and at that point, you would have done everything you want as a rookie. Now you check off all the boxes. You go into that last tournament. If you can get there, if you lose in the S16, 5 wins, roll the dice, see what happens. That's all you can ask for. That's all you want. You want a shot, and there's a difference between having a shot when you, for example, you with 2 wins entering this, you have nothing to lose. You know, what's second place to you? Probably nothing right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
However, for background, if you can get to 5 wins, okay, now it's not just what is second place. Win round 1 next tournament, and with how parity works, 6 wins, it might be enough. And then you got to play the resume game. But do you want a chance at after that? That's the beauty of T4 and 5. You just don't know. It's the playoff atmosphere. It's basically the prequel to Super League. But then once you get to Super League, re-rack them. Re-rack the billiards table. Let's play 8-ball again. So it's a beautiful sport in a sense. The pressure's on. We'll see how it goes. And congratulations to background again as he'll move on to play next.
Absolutely. Also, congratulations to Tagoe. Gets the 100-win club as well in this series. So well done to him. As we look at the Hearts region bracket here, Nick waiting in the wings now. No, he will play background in Tilt 32. And, of course, as well to Pierre Jesse Turner Tuesday at 7. Winner of that faces off against DJ Curtis. As mentioned, this is a trifecta of streams here today, as later on at 6, you'll see Ghost taking on Arya. And then we come back to the Hearts region to close out the day at primetime, 8 p.m. Chamek taking on Lara in a 7-10 matchup. But congratulations once again to Background. He's going to move on to the next round here, the round of 32 for Jackpot June in the Hearts region. My thanks to KT joining me on commentary. Nam had our scoreboard. Brad had our referee duties here today. We'll see you guys later on here this afternoon, 6 p.m. in the Twilight for Ghost versus Arya in the clubs region as Jackpot June continues here for T4 of the 2025 MRE UNO tournament.
This has been a presentation of MRE UNO Division 1.